Hey everyone, today I wanted to go over some really exciting news that we have for Dragon Quest fans, as it seems like finally Dragon Quest X, specifically Dragon Quest X Offline or Dragon Quest X as it was known in Asia, might finally be making its way out of Japan and into the rest of the world, as a brand new video listing, a brand new trailer was posted in multiple different languages: Korean, traditional Chinese, simplified Chinese, and different Square Enix YouTube channels. And it seemingly seems to be pointing that the game is finally gonna be making its way out of the just exclusivity Japanese market, and presumably a worldwide version of the game with hopefully English will be made available. Remember that Dragon Quest X or Dragon Quest X originally released all the way back in 2012 for the Wii. This was an online title only with plenty of online content and many expansions added to it post-launch. The game eventually made its way into the Wii U, the 3DS. I believe even the Switch got a Japanese exclusive version for the online experience. But then, of course, like typical fashion, Square Enix decided to put it to bed. And just earlier in 2022, we ended up seeing the release of the offline version of this game making its way into Japan. So where they essentially removed all of the online components of the experience, they made it a full experience for offline players with all of the content, which was an amazing package. And Square Enix, I think, did a fantastic job with that. But one of the shortcomings, in typical fashion, was the fact that they didn't make it available for anyone worldwide. Still just in Japanese. There have been plenty of mods already, of course, through the Nintendo Switch for Japanese users, where they basically, can do some things with it. But at the end of the day, an official English release has not been made available, potentially until spring of 2024. Because when you take a closer look at the brand new Dragon Quest X offline trailer made available to both Korea and China, you see a spring 2024 release date there. So what that simply implies is that the game might be making its way out of Asia, specifically Japan, into Korea and China. But then, of course, sooner rather than later, if they're translating it to Chinese and Korean, then of course English is the next major step. In the trailer themselves, they specifically mentioned PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, and Steam. But interestingly enough, the Nintendo Switch is not mentioned. Now, one of the things that we have to clarify here, and Gematsu made a pretty good post on their social media page, I'm going to be leaving a link in the description below for that, is that they made the point to kind of point out that Nintendo actually publishes a lot of the Square Enix games outside of Japan. Of course, Square Enix publishes all their games in Japan, but outside of Japan, games like the Dragon Quest Builders 2, for example, was published by Nintendo, not Square Enix. So maybe this is going to be one of those where Nintendo ponies up the extra cash to be able to get it localized for the Nintendo Switch at the very least. Although you would imagine Square Enix would want to do the same thing with PlayStation and PC, of course, here in North America and Europe. So, at the end of the day, maybe Nintendo takes on the publishing for the Switch and they let Square Enix handle the rest for the other consoles. But seemingly it seems like things are starting to drift in the right direction. This game has been one that almost no one's been able to play, especially Dragon Quest fans here in the West have been able to play only because of the limitations due to the language barrier, of course, that exists. And of course, the fact that the game was originally an online experience, and of course, you needed to be connected to or from Japan to Japanese servers, which of course you needed to kind of spoof your way around that if you wanted to do that. It was a pain in the butt, so a lot of people just didn't really want to deal with that. So at the end of the day, the offline experience that they released just last year was something that caught a lot of people by surprise, and it was certainly a well worth investment by Square Enix based off of the fact that the sales were pretty strong based on some of the results that we ended up seeing just out of Japan alone, especially on the Nintendo Switch, since this game was reworked with the Nintendo Switch in mind as the main console. So at the end of the day, hopefully we do get to see this localized version making its way here to North America relatively soon, or hopefully at the very least in spring of 2024, as this Korean and Chinese versions are going to be hitting those storefronts and presumably a physical release is going to be made available as well, which is something of a sticking point as well. Even in Japan, I believe there were like limited prints of the Japanese physical version of the game when it was made available. So it is one of those situations where Square Enix, for whatever reason, just doesn't want people to be able to play this game. It kind of comes back to that Final Fantasy Collection physical fiasco that happened here in North America just last year, where of course they made the game available for pre-orders only through their website, and basically they sold out in the middle of the night. Thankfully, I was up at that one of those random days that they put the listings up, but certainly a lot of players weren't. And next thing you know, it sells out in the middle of the night. They make no reprints available, and then you end up getting places like PlayAsia, which there's nothing wrong with them, but you're not necessarily getting the ESRB version of the physical package. You're getting the Asian version or the European version or whatever version you can get your hands on, because ultimately, Square Enix here in North America decided to kind of screw things up a little bit. And as a whole, it seems like Square Enix has been struggling to deal with publishing of games for quite a while. They print out 1 billion copies of like Beyond, for example. And then, games like Octopath, for example, do not necessarily get that many prints. And then once they reprint it, they basically kind of like ruin the value of the game. And now you see it available for like $20 or whatever the case is. So they don't make them available on launch, but they make them available a few months later. By that point, nobody wants to buy it, certainly for $60. And they ruin the value of things. And hopefully that's not the case here. This is a hopefully fully packaged experience, certainly on the Nintendo Switch. All of the game being available in the cartridge will go a long way, but of course that remains to be seen based off of, again, some of the woes that they have had in the past already. But once again, I want to give, first and foremost, a huge shout out to Gamatsu for putting up a little bit of a clarification. I'm going to be leaving a link in the description below for the Korean YouTube video of the trailer that they posted originally, which seemingly, of course, suggests that a spring 2024, perhaps worldwide release will be making its way for us here in North America and for everyone else to be able to enjoy this fantastic game, which again, some of the rework and some of the things that smaller criticisms were mainly from the online multiplayer portions of the players who wanted to still have online connectivity to it, although clearly on the title of the game it had offline tied to it. It wasn't supposed to be an online experience. It was supposed to be reworked to be more of a traditional Dragon Quest game experience, and at the end of the day, I think they did a fantastic job with it, and once again, sales reflected just about that. But that's about all the information that I have for you guys today. If you are brand new to my channel, though, be sure to leave a like and subscribe, hit the bell to receive notifications when the videos go up, and as always, thank you so much for watching. See ya.